Get in, nerds. We're playing Victoria 3. I'm going to put the decree that I had over here in road maintenance back on there to keep market access high and construction efficiency high, because I want to keep that going. In fact, actually, I think if I got that decree in there, I'll be able to put in all the gold mines that I want to put in without having an issue. So those gold mines are going to have what kind of inputs? They're going to have just tools, coal, and transport. They don't need to have a transport input. We got plenty of labor here. I don't know what that is. Ooh, Britain is going after Kikuyu. Can I help? No. They don't want me. That's okay. So I think I am going to go after Geledi. I'm going to wait, and I want to make the Merina Kingdom a dominion before I keep reducing the autonomy of my dominions in Central America. So if I go after Geledi, if I conquer Geledi, they'll have Tigray on their side, but no others. Looks like no support from major powers. So let's get started with that. An anti-British league, but our relations with Britain are delightful. What are you talking about? Gosh darn it, I don't want an anti-British league. Oh gosh, and it's the rural folk are there as well. Oh, that's a real headache. That's a gigantic headache. Alright, that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. So we'll put one army on the border there. And that'll be just fine. And let me just make sure our production methods are solid. Kaffa sides with Geledi. Okay, that doesn't matter. Alright, basic admin there. For mines, logging camps, let's go back to sawmills. And for mines, we are using ammo pump engine. It's just fine. And Gojam is going after Wello. I can't get involved. Iron Confederacy is having fractional distillation. Wonderful. And Britain's colonizing the Rift Valley. That's not a shocker. They're going to continue to go in this area for the moment. And we got water tube boilers spreading to us, which is great. That'll help us get that as soon as we can, which is wonderful. So I think maybe my plan will be to grab Borana, or perhaps Harar. These are all one state, and then try to improve relations with Shewa. So maybe it's going to cost me 75 influence to improve relations with Shewa, so maybe I'll halt improving relations with Austria because I've maxed out. And I'll start improving relations with Shewa. Oh my goodness. They actually managed to get to the front before we did. This could be a real problem, friends. See, this is a real problem, because now this army has error-handled itself all the way back to Portugal, and what it needs to be doing is taking this area. And unfortunately, they've... Okay. Alright. That's okay. That's okay. Our war support is holding strong, and they don't have any core territory of ours occupied, because we do not have any, because that's how that works. We got war support protection because they don't have any of our core territory occupied, is what I'm trying to say. So, Intelligentsia petition government. Representing his constituents in the Intelligentsia, Vitorino de Albuquerque has issued a formal petition to the Portuguese government to pass parliamentary republic. One last matter for the day, sir. Members of your constituency arrived this morning. They're asking rather loudly and insistently if you would meet with them about new legislation. Well, is that it? Goodness, you seem as if you've seen a ghost. I'm sure we can spare the last hours of the light for them, can't I? I believe so, sir. They weren't taking no for an answer. We'll see what we can do. Offer them cultural exclusion as a compromise. They must understand the present situation does not allow for this. Significantly reduced legitimacy. So, I've already ignored them on this once. The landowners are very happy at the moment. If we go to cultural exclusion, the landowners will not be unhappy. It's the Catholic Church and the petit bourgeois who are going to be a problem. But I think we can live with that. It's going to cost us a chunk of authority, which would be a problem. But I think I can live with that. On the other hand, if I go to parliamentary republic, everyone's gonna revolt. So I can't do that. I will offer them cultural exclusion as a compromise. And we will immediately get started on that. It's going to be a long, slow process, but it should be fine. Alright, and now we are... So let me just make sure that this railway is employing. It is employing. Alright, and it is slowly building up employment. So this should create some demand for the motors that we're producing in Beira. Alright, and this industry is now hiring. Beautiful. That is exactly what I want. Do we finish improving relations with Prussia? Oh, we can't, because we don't share an interest area. That's okay. That's just fine. So, how are things going with our subject states? Merina Kingdom is almost there. And I think once that's done, Guatemala is actually below, at 10, it's below 15. So after we reduce Merina Kingdom's autonomy, we'll still be able to reduce their autonomy further. And Nicaragua is almost getting there. Gold depleted in Northern Cape. Interesting. That doesn't produce any gold mine capacity for us yet. But mayhaps it shall at a later point. Invasion is basically successful. There's our landing progress. And we should be able to take this area over pretty quickly. Same as they did. Ooh. Cultural exclusion advanced. Currently, only the petit bourgeois are working on opposing this, so it means we should have a very solid chance. We've got a north of 50% chance of either an advance or a success, and 35% chance of debate is pretty okay. Netherlands colonized Guinea. Interesting. Britain colonized Tanganyika. All right, that's you're doing that, Great Britain. That's your thing, and you do it. Alright, and that is the war essentially completed. And that gets us the rest of Somaliland. So, from here, it's Harar. So it's going to be 8.5 infamy to conquer Harar. They don't have any protection. So, if I conquer, Tigray is going to step in. But no one else. So that should be just fine. And that'll put us in a solid position to basically, my plan is... Oh my gosh, did they air handle themselves all the way back to Portugal again? They did. Unbelievable. Siak wants defensive pact? No, thank you. Well, this same thing's going to happen again. I've got a small army here left over. I'm just going to put that on the front. Let me see. I'm just going to put that army on the front on defense so that the area doesn't get completely taken over. Alright, Tigray sides with Harar. That should not be a problem. Just so that I can get my army over to this front. Discord within the rural folk. Advance. An influential faction within the rural folk has grown frustrated with their co-members' neutrality on the topic of cultural exclusion. Themselves in favor of the law, they have now resolved to form a separate political faction intent on passing it. How can you stand idly by and watch the world pass before your eyes? Have you no sense of duty, of honor, of duty to your fellow man? I say nay to such lack of ambition, and I dare say I am not alone in this. With their support, the bill shall pass, 15% enactment chance, rural folk weaker, or the Intelligentsia extend an open hand to these mavericks, stronger Intelligentsia, weaker rural folk, less enactment chance than the other one. I'm going to go with the second one. I think 40% is very respectable, and a stronger Intelligentsia is good for me in the long term. So, what is infrastructure looking like? Okay, infrastructure is very solid here. And as we continue to build up the gold industry, that will provide us with everything we require. I can go ahead and cut this iron import route. And how is the clothing market doing here? Still need to increase the size of the textiles industry. So, we'll go ahead and throw 2 more factories in, each in Beira and Extremadura. Once again, I'm going to put the universities at the bottom of the queue. This is something I virtually always do. Alright, so now that this army is functionally in position, well, nearly in position, let's not be silly here. I'm going to put this guy on attack, but more importantly, 2 arms. You know, actually, it'll be useful to have this guy around here. Again, I don't foresee any difficulties in winning this war. That's looking real good. We're going into debt a little bit, but we are building up gold resources, so that should be just fine. I'm not worried about that. Ooh, and there's rifling. So we do have 1 arms industry. Oh, 2, actually. We'll go ahead and bump those up to rifles. Ooh. Oh, no, it's just Denmark took over the rest of Togo. That's just fine. 4th Portuguese army, that's going to move into the 3rd Portuguese army. Again, we got barracks here that are trying to hire. That's the issue. That's the issue here. So... not sure how to handle that. And then... so our next target is Shewa, and I think Shewa we're going to try to make into a protectorate. And then we'll slowly take over the rest of Ethiopia, and we'll transfer all those states to Shewa and make them a nice, strong Ethiopian protectorate. And that'll be nice. Merina Kingdom is almost to the point where I can reduce their autonomy, which I'm pretty pleased about. And now the war is just in a matter of waiting for them to capitulate. And we do have a little bit of a shortage of bureaucracy, so I'm going to go ahead and swap a level of government admin in these areas over to... Oh my goodness, it's worse. Why is it worse? Oh, because we just took more territory. Well, we'll do the same over here. So now, Shewa. If I make you a protectorate, is anyone going to step in? Basically, no. So where is... Again, this 4th Portuguese army doesn't need to be here. 3rd Portuguese army, we've got a bunch of units of irregular infantry. Let's just go ahead and cut them. And geographically, this army is right here. So, just to double check, Shewa does not have any others. So, let's go ahead and make you protectorate. 5.9 infamy. No one's going to get involved. Let's do it. Once again, we'll mobilize this army and this army. Oh, interesting. We're building up a shortage of silk because of our increasing textile industry. So let's build a couple more silk plantations in Macau. On the plus side, money is doing just great. That's going to go first, because I didn't realize that was happening. And I need that to increase the size of the textile industry. Popular playwright endorses reform. In the midst of the debate surrounding cultural exclusion, one of the country's leading playwrights, strongly associated with the Intelligentsia, has staged a widely acclaimed play whose politically laden theme makes no secret of the author's desire for the law to be passed. The man's viewpoint may be partisan, but sir, you cannot argue with his prose. Cultural exclusion would be on everyone's lips now, 10% enactment chance. This sure puts the Intelligentsia in a good light, 10% stronger Intelligentsia. Or let's ensure the play gets a wider international audience, 20 prestige. I'm going to go with the third one, because I like prestige. That's going to move us up a little bit in prestige, which will be nice. It moved us up to actually rank 15, which is cool. Oh my goodness. The no colonial affairs people are revolutionary. Well, we'll see how that goes. I think the cultural exclusion thing, Begemder sides with Shewa. Okay. Alright, that's fine. I don't think they can get here, can they? They can. Alright, well, we'll need to be careful. But I've got an army there, it shouldn't be that much of an issue. So this is going to cause some difficult events as things go on. But I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. I think once I'm done with cultural exclusion, this thing should just kind of sort itself out over time. In fact, I think this isn't even a very radical movement at all. Suppose I could box this guy out of the country. Let me see, he's a pacifist, and he is kind of the basis of this movement. But I'm liking having this extra... If I exile him... Very small radicalization of landowners. I think that's worth it. So that should weaken this movement. And we'll see what happens. Landowners are still happy. Alright. I think I made the right call. They're still revolutionary, but that's okay. Vultures upon a carcass. Opportunistic members of the armed forces have defected to the rural folks' cause. Carrion crows pluck from fresh deaths, no matter the cause. Some, however, sense when a still living being is about to die. The creature will wait, hovering long as it takes for said meal to die. But better to be the first there with the choicest pick of meat than hoping for scraps. So be it. Or try to coax some back. I'll take the bureaucracy hit trying to bring him back. Do I have all of my government admins on filing cabinets? I do. Alright, so that's going to cost me some money, but that's okay. Weaker rural folk is going to be useful for me in the long term. Alright, and our army is almost at the front. Alright, 2 arms. Law progressed to ascent. Wonderful. Alright, so 1 more success and we're good to go over here. United States is still trying to damage relations with us, but get out of here, America. Stop it. Oh my goodness, they've really expanded. That's potentially going to be pretty tough. We are winning in both of these battles, so that's rock solid. I'm pretty pleased about that. So once we've got Shewa taken over, we'll turn them into a proper protectorate. Speaking of which, Merina Kingdom is finally ready to be downgraded to a dominion. So we'll go ahead and do that. However, that means I cannot now decrease the autonomy of any of my other ones because Merina Kingdom is still going down. That said, I can definitely wait until that happens. Membership lists discovered. A surprise police raid has uncovered a list of radicals associated with the Catholic Church. There are several ways this can be used to the government's advantage. They came for us too quickly. I had no time to hide everything. And thanks to that, now we need to hide everyone. Hunt down every member on that list, minus 10% progress. Or publicly expose the connections between the Catholic Church and the radicals. Catholic Church minus 25% interest group strength. I'm going to go with the second one. That should weaken this movement significantly. Oh wow, yeah, it reduced their radicalism by a chunk. That's pretty rad. Ooh, and we've got a movement for public schools. Ooh, if I really wanted to fight the Catholic Church, that's what I'd do next. But I don't necessarily want that right now immediately. Alright, so this puts a lot of industry into our customs union, so we'll definitely need to figure out how we handle that going forward. I definitely need a new government admin. Let's build that up in Estremadura. We'll put that in the middle of these gold mines. We'll also put the textile mills over there as well, because that needs to get finished. Ersatz food. I don't like the sound of that. Struggling people in Alentejo have been desperately trying to get their hands on any food they can. Dire warnings of a turnip winter have been spreading throughout the region. Last week, all we could get was pig's feed. This week, not actually sure what this stuff is. Is that sawdust? At least food substitutes fill people's stomachs, extra mortality. Try to increase food production by any means. Reduced agriculture tax income. Reduce civil war progress. Increased agriculture throughput. Or we can't do anything. Reduced agriculture and plantation throughput. Increased progress of civil war. I'm going to do the middle one. Reduced agricultural taxes shouldn't be that bad. Yeah, it wasn't that bad at all. Alright, fine. And there's cultural exclusion. So, that completes the government petition. Now, can I do anything with this no colonial affairs situation? If I do this, the landowners are going to go buck wild. Trade unions as well. Trade unions want public schools. We already have religious schools. Catholic Church is going to go buck wild if we do this. But it is a pretty significant movement. So I could get there fast if I really wanted to. This would weaken the Catholic Church, who are already insurrectionary. I can wait a little bit, but not much, because they're just baseline so pissed off. On the other hand, I could secularize the administration, which would significantly weaken them. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright. So that should continue to weaken this movement. And how are things going against Shewa? Do they have war support protection? They do not. So I should be able to push through this no problem. Ooh, Armed Forces Patriotic Fervor deactivated. Oh, that keeps coming up. I'm not worried about that. Shortage of bureaucracy right now. All these consumption taxes are producing a lot of cash for me, though, so I'm going to leave it. What have I got? I got a promote social mobility in Togo that I think I can cut without causing too much of a problem. That'll get me my authority back. Hey, Shewa, be my protectorate. You're coming with me. Alright, so first, I'm going to start improving relations with them. Second, there's a lot of good stuff in Oromia. But I want a united Ethiopia. So there you go. Now you're a stunkin' thick country. And hopefully you'll allow me to take the rest of the coast without having a problem. The rebels' doctor. A doctor in Alentejo has been caught aiding wounded dissidents and revolutionaries. His aid isn't just helping his patients, but it's emboldening the entire rebel movement. The doctor's defense attorney leaned back, nursing a small headache. The medical man had proven impossible to work with. His attempts at defense had just dug a deeper hole for himself. His waffling was painful, and his refusal to trust his counsel or even his kinfolk had ruined his chances of getting a lighter sentence. His persistent denials had served only to make his name mud. Investigate the medical profession in Alentejo. Big ol' radicalization of academics there. Or this doctor was obviously a lone wolf. There's no need to follow up on this radicalization of academics all over Portugal. Are there any academics in Alentejo right now? There is, because there's a university. Alright, we'll hit 2% everywhere versus 20% in just those places. So, Catholic Church opinion should be going up in about half a year as they get over the whole cultural exclusion situation. That's going to be very useful to me. I really do want to increase the size of the construction sector again as we continue to build up the gold supply here. We're a little short of coal. And I've definitely got a coal mine in the queue. Let's put that below the textile mills, and then it'll be time to build up our furniture manufactories. That's going to have an overall really solid effect on outputs. Hey, the movement sorted itself out. That's excellent. So now, I've got a movement for public schools. If I do this, it's going to make the Catholic Church even madder. I'm going to wait for the moment. I'm going to cut my road maintenance decree in Vrystadt. I'm going to cut my road maintenance decree in Alentejo for now. Oh, no, I can't do that, because I'm short on infrastructure here. Actually, I'm quite short on infrastructure here. What about Beira? Am I good for Beira? I am. Alright, so I'm going to cancel road maintenance there. I'm actually a little short on taxation capacity, but that's okay. Well, Alentejo needs a frickin' railway, it turns out. I did not even realize. We'll put the government admin in here, and then we'll finally finish those textile mills, and then we'll work on that. So now that I've got some authority to play with, let's go ahead and suppress the Catholic Church. And then in a little bit, we will have the ability to get started with this public schools thing. And hopefully the Catholic Church will not plunge the nation into civil war. The Voice of the Nation, a group of respectable musical composers teaching at the Arts Academy in Extremadura, have approached us. They've drawn attention to the alarming lack of a proper national anthem fit to invigorate our people's spirits. Land of riches, land of silver, may all our enemies shiver. Hence our steps lead the way to drive our enemies away. Now that's a cool anthem. 20 extra prestige. That's wonderful. Russian-Ottoman rivalry ended. That's bananas. Gold depleted in Transvaal, you know, can't just let them leave. That's what I've been doing this whole time, and it's what I'm going to continue to do. Oh no, that's in Transvaal. Ooh, and we've got a bunch of gold mine capacity here too. Wonderful. Oh, and there's water tube boiler. Excellent. So, first things first, let's get these mines upgraded. Next, I realize we need to rework our farms. We definitely could use soil enriching farming, but I don't know how much. Let me see. We can get fertilizer from our livestock ranches by going this way. So that's 2.5 per level. So that's about 75. And then if we just swap... No, that should provide enough for all of our farms. At least all of our ones that are not... How many of our millet farms are actually controlled by us? 3 in Portuguese Gambia. 2... 1, so that's 6, that's 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 19. So 19 times 5 is 95. Okay, so we're not going to have enough to swap all of them over, but we can get started. Go to increased wool gathering, but we'll also go to soil enriching for all of these, and we'll do just the ones in Vrystaat for now. We'll see how that goofs up our fertilizer industry in the moment. Now, technology. We just finished intensive agriculture. We finished water tube boiler. I think that means... Canneries would be nice, but I want to stay ahead on military. I don't want to get caught out here, because it's already 1854. On the other hand, there's probably some pretty solid stuff in society that I would like. Oh man, I kind of desperately want pharmaceuticals and quinine so that I can start colonizing a little bit more. On the other hand, dialectics would be really good for tech research. Oof, so many needs. Let's go with dialectics first. And then for military, we'll grab shell gun. And... figure out the rest later. That's my plan. Alright. And that is actually the end of the episode. So, we've made some good progress in our colonization of the Horn of Africa. We've established Shewa as a protectorate, which we can basically feed with other states over time as we take more territory, and that will be a giant, strong Ethiopia for us to rule over as our protectorate, and that'll be nice. So, for now, that is all the time we've got. I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I'll see you on the other side.